Hi, it's me, Liz. I am live, I believe, on the IOD page as well as my own Liza Jane Design page. And I'm also attempting to be live on my YouTube channel. So I think I've gathered all my supplies that I need for this project today. I'm gonna Hello, Diane, Central California. I hope some of your rain is let up. There's just so much going on all around the world, isn't there? So I am Liz from Liza Jane Designs in Afton, Minnesota. Today I'm coming to you live from my loft, which is at my, hey, Diane, from Massachusetts again. From my loft over my garage in St. Mary's Point, Minnesota. I'm about a mile from my shop and a mile and a half from our new Airbnb that we're duding up with all sorts of things, IOD. But today we're going to work on a Valentine's project. I don't know how Christmas came and went so fast, but here it is, and it's Valentine's. And I'm going to, well, I'll stay in the picture, show you what we're going to use today for this project. We're going to use an IOD wood gallery blank. I'm using the 8x8 inch cradled wood, and I'm going to use it on the flat side, not the framed side. So we'll be using this. We will be using the Heavenly stamp, and specifically I'm going to use the wings from the Heavenly stamp and some IOD air dry clay, which we're going to be placing on the wood panel and using the stamp to create a relief in there. We'll add a heart. And this is kind of the sample board I have going. I don't know if you can see that very well in this light, but you will get to see it close up as we progress here. So I'm going to switch so you can see the project surface a little bit bigger. And this is one that I got going earlier. So I hope you can see some of that really good detail in there. I'm still going to be adding some, I don't know, dark wax or a glaze to increase what you see in that relief. And the heart will go here. I've also got some words in here, and I want to show you how I've done all that, and then we'll finish that guy up. So I'm going to move that finished one out of the way. I've got the Heavenly stamp. I have two Dianas and a Debbie online. Hello, Dianas and Debbie. We're using the air dry clay. I'm going to pop open a brand new package. And for the sake of, I'm going to draw a line on this cardboard because this is the area that I want to cover with a thin area of clay or thin coating. It needs to be thick enough to take on the detail of the stamp, but not so thick that it weighs the whole thing down too much or becomes incredibly, expensive. We just want a coating of, so I'm going to use this and know how far I need to roll that out. I'm going to put some cornstarch on here and just spread it around, just doing that on the cardboard. This cornstarch is specifically here in my art space, so I'll put it back in the jar. I'm not going to use that for cooking. I'm just going to use that for creating. Can everybody hear okay? Are we good on that? I am so trying to make progress on the tech bits of this. When I do the videos alone, I just I jury rig everything and tie things onto, I think I just cut this open on 2 sides, but let me grab a plastic bag to put this in. I'm still here. When you're working with the air dry clay, it's even for a few minutes, it's good to put it inside of a baggie, keep that moist. We don't want that to dry out. That's a precious commodity. So I'm going to just soften this a little bit with my hands. And I'm going to put it down where I know I want to cover. Thank you, Debbie. Glad you can hear me. So I'm Liz, Liza Jane Designs, Afton, Minnesota. That's in the Twin Cities area, about 20 miles due east of St. Paul. So you see how I'm rolling this out with my rolling pin. It's okay if there's a little bit of texture. I don't mind that. In fact, I like it, but I want to roll this out. This rolling pin doesn't see a lot of pie crust these days, but it does see a lot of time in the studio space. So I just want to get that rolled out, and I'm doing it on here instead of on the wood blank itself so that I can glue it and make sure it stays. So I'm kind of tearing off these pieces and placing them, making sure I've got good coverage for the gallery blank. Rita, hello. We are making a Valentine plaque. I'm using the air dry clay on a IOD wood panel, and we'll be using the Heavenly stamp, the wings from the Heavenly stamp, to push detail into the clay, and then some other things to fancy it up and make it awesome. So I'm just grabbing clay, probably using more than I need to because we're live and I'm trying to make it work fairly quickly. Just putting that clay down on my cardboard that I applied cornstarch so we won't stick. And I'm covering the holes. I don't even mind if it has a little bit of a jaggedy edge on the panel. It makes it look more authentically carved. So there we go. Cover those spots and spread some with my fingers, and then get this rolling pin back in here to smooth all of that out. And I know it's going to be really smooth on the other side too. So maybe we'll end up using the side that is down, and this side will be the side that's glued. Thanks, Rita. I like Valentine's. I like hearts and, love and mushy stuff, but I'm not too into all the pink and glitter. And I think that's fun for sometimes, but I like a little bit more of a grunge look. And what I am doing here is adding some words from one of my favorite E.E. Cummings poems. I think it's one of his best known, the one that says, "I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart." Now, I guess it was a love poem written from him to a woman, I think. But it always makes me think of my children, because I don't know, I carry them with me in my heart all the time. So I carry your heart with me. That's what I'm going to put on here. I carry your heart will be stuck in there with missed the beginning. Hello, Deborah. We are up to a Valentine tile made from clay. I'm going to just try that out on there. It's pretty good. So here's what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to take that back off. I'm going to use the Titebond Thick and Quick, because we know it's thick and it's quick, and it's a really good glue for this kind of a project. I have a chopstick here. I like using low-tech tools whenever possible, and free to get tools. When I get sushi at the fancy grocery store, I always get a few extra things of chopsticks so I can use them on art projects. So I'm moving the Titebond Thick and Quick across this panel. The chopstick works really well to get it out of the bottle and also to spread it. This bottle of glue has been around a while. It's getting down to the bottom. So I'm going to leave it upside down, see if I can get some more to come out as I spread this. So Titebond Thick and Quick on the wood gallery panel. Today it's an 8x8. The sample I made, it turned out that the 8x8 board held the wings perfectly. They go out to the sides, and it's just a good look on this 8x8. So see if I got enough glue that time. I suppose every tiny inch of this doesn't have to be covered, but I want to get it as good as I can. I might have to break down and start using my fingers again, because that is my go-to mobile tool. Anybody have any questions about anything? Where are we watching from? I know I've got some Central California. I know there's Massachusetts, which is where I grew up, in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. Where else do we have? Deborah, you're here in Minnesota. Yes, I've got Debbie and Diana. Hello, Lori. Oh, and Joanne from England. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. I think I pretty well got this board glued up. So I'm going to take my sort of like pie dough here that we rolled out, and I'm going to place it on there. And then we're going to roll it out some more. So let's take this piece and put it here and here, and a little bit more on this corner, and get my rolling pin again and just roll that. I might need a little water here to smooth those together. A little bit of water in a jar. All right, over here. I may need some more glue, because I'm kind of gluing on top of the clay right there. So we don't want it peeling up later. Just applying that clay to the wood surface, smoothing it as best I can. It's getting pretty good. And again, like I said earlier, if it isn't perfectly smooth, that just adds a little bit more texture, and I like that. So I'm going to use my fingers and a little bit of water here. And Becky, you are also from Minnesota. Where are you from, Becky? Are you in the Twin Cities or south, north? The clay that I am using is the IOD air dry clay. It's a wonderful artist grade air dry clay that holds fine details beautifully. So there it is on the board. I'm going to tear off the extra along the sides. And for the sake of being frugal, I'm going to put it back in my bag with the other air dry clay. Let's press that down. It's coming up a little bit. A little bit of water on my fingers helps smooth that. Don't want to get it too wet. It'll be too sticky. But we're going to do that and peel off the excess around the edges. Sometimes I push some down around the edge too, because I like how it just kind of looks, you know, like a pottery piece, like a clay piece when those wrap around a bit like that. So there it is. The board is covered with IOD air dry clay. So let me clean this up and put this back in the bag. A hint that I've picked up from other stockists is to put a wet paper towel in the bag with your clay, and it just keeps it a little bit moister and easier to use. So I will do that later. I'll put a little paper towel in there, wet paper towel. So I already opened the Heavenly stamp and I've cut it. So when it's brand new in the package, you know, all of the stamps are on one sheet. But what I like to do with this kind of stamp is, like many people do, I cut them apart and leave them on the backing so that I've got something I can use to hold on to. Hi, Kimberly. West of the cities, Madison. Oh, near the South Dakota border. Yes. So we're going to use the stamps, that one, and this one. And I'm just laying them on there right now. I'm not pressing them in. And we're also going to use a little bit of these other stamps just to get some other detail and fun designs. So I'm going to set those and then put the rest of the stamp aside. Is that a good view right here? Okay, so this is the size of the final heart we're going to be using. I want to just place it here and get the wings. There, can you see that? So the wings are spread out nicely, holding that heart. And I'm probably going to do these one at a time. So see how they match up here? Doop, doop. I'm going to take this off and grab my rolling pin again. Being careful not to shift always when we're stamping, whether it's into clay or onto paper or canvas or fabric. Make sure you're holding that stamp in one place so you get a nice clean image. Let's see. And peeling that up. Yeah, like it. So can you see that? I think you can. It will show up a lot better when it is sealed and then some dark wax or dark glaze is added to it. So I'm going to put on the other wing and match it up to, you know, where it would be on the angel's shoulder, I guess. Coming off to the edge, push that into the clay. So you need to do this, obviously, while your clay is still malleable and still soft, which will make it tricky to do this on a live video. I'll be sealing things before they're dry, but it's doable. I'm going to roll it again, try to get a really good impression, and lift that guy. Some of the places where I used water, I think are that the clay is a little stickier there. So that's something to keep in mind. Just pressing that back in and scrape that extra clay off there so it doesn't dry in there. And there we have the impression of our wings. I'm going to be adding a little more detail with some of the other stamps from the Heavenly set. So this is just some lines that I'm putting across the bottom and somewhat across the top. I'm not doing it 100% in a perfectly straight line. Here's some flowers that are part of that. Well, thanks, Lori. Yeah, so we're just adding a little other detail that will get picked up when we put the dark glaze or wax on there later. So there is that. Actually, yeah, that's okay. What I'm using today for my words, this is not an IOD stamp set, but you could probably use typesetting, some of the smaller ones. But I'm going to use this today. This is a set of stamps I've had for a long time. And I just pulled out the ones we need for I Carry Your Heart. So I have the I, and I am just going to push that in. And I know you probably can't see very well, but trust me, it is making the impression of the letters. So I see A, and there is an R here. That isn't it. Okay, a lot of times people watching my videos help me find my stamps because they tend to fall around. But there is an R here, and I will find it. Doop, doop, doop. Might have dropped it somewhere. Oops, there it is over there. Okay, here's our R, 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 and Y. Can you see that on camera? Yeah, you can see that, right? I carry, I know it's backwards for you. I carry Y. O. Anybody have any questions while I'm spelling out I carry your heart? H, E, A. If you don't want to use stamps, you also could, you apply words by printing them out and, tearing them, adding words in that way to your project. Yeah, you could totally use the sunflower stamp, Lori. It'd be beautiful. So there we have, I carry your heart, right? I am going to apply while we get to work on our heart. I'm going to put a little bit of clear coat sealer on this so we can add some inks later and have some time to work with them before they dry on there. So here's my paintbrush. Here's my clear sealer. The clay is still wet, so I'm doing this very gingerly. I just want to seal the surface. I think, Lori, you said I did use an adhesive behind the clay, Lori. I rolled it out first on a piece of cardboard to about the right size. Then I applied some, I used Tight Bond Thick and Quick. Any kind of a tacky glue would probably do the trick. And then I just transferred the clay, the rolled out clay from my cardboard template onto the 8x8 inch panel and rolled it around with my rolling pin again, so that it was a fairly smooth, continuous surface on the top of the 8x8 inch panel. So I'm using a water-based sealer, and I'm very gently painting it onto the surface so that it can seal up while we work on our little heart piece. This is important because our next steps will be adding some color. And if we don't seal the clay, it just sucks the color of whatever we add. It just pulls it right into the molecules of the clay practically. And that's it. Once it touches unsealed clay, that color is going to be there forever. And I don't want that for this. I want a whitish background, and I want the dark ink or wax or whatever that I put in just to kind of bring out the details. So there, that is all sealed. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. Later, we'll paint these sides and so on. But right now, let's set that aside to do a bit of drying. And I'll show you how I made this, I think, fun little heart. A lot of people these days are using corrugated cardboard for stuff. I love using corrugated cardboard. You can make it look like so many things, like rusty metal and whatnot. But I, like many of us, get lots of boxes from places I buy from online. Lorena, I think what I'm going to use are some inks that I have. At least that's what we're going to get started with once that sealer dries. So I've got a big chunk of corrugated cardboard. I peeled the one layer away. Sometimes it's nice to leave that texture too and have it look like a, I don't know, a broken down old wall or something. But for this, I'm just using the part that is corrugated. I cut a heart from the cardboard. So, you know, just that's it. The exact size isn't incredibly important, but you want it to fill the space. So what I do is I cut half, and then I fold it in half, and I cut the other side. So just with a pair of regular scissors, cutting out that corrugated cardboard, you know, it's a little bit, we'll round that, we'll round this a little better. And there we have our corrugated cardboard heart. Because I'm going to be putting a decoupage tissue on here, I want to paint this surface white so my paper will pop. So I already did that ahead of time on this one. I just used a white gesso. You could use clay-based paint, any kind of white paint, so that your background isn't going to compete with your decoupage paper. I have this beautiful paper that apparently I've been saving just for this project. I'm going to pick an area that I really like. This one has some words. And I'm going to cut a square of this a little bit bigger than the heart, because when we apply it, I'm going to use that same old chopstick again to push the paper into the grooves of the corrugated cardboard. So it'll be like this. It'll, you know, take on the shape. So that takes up a little more room than just a flat decoupaged surface, right? So let's go back to this clear sealer again. And I'm going to get that all over this corrugated cardboard heart. I've got a piece of plastic here as my drop cloth. And I want to get that inside the grooves really well. Any other questions happening? St. Cloud. Hey, Maureen. So you live right close to Crafters Direct. I wonder how dangerous that is for you. It's quite a drive for me. So unfortunately, when I go, I spend way more than I should. But it's a great source, isn't it, for craft supplies here in the upper Midwest. Crafts Direct in St. Cloud. So there we go. That is painted with the clear coat. I'm going to set this on the top because we're going to use the chopstick again, and between the chopstick and my fingers, I'm going to kind of gently press the paper into the grooves. Probably should have a new chopstick. This one has a little bit of glue on it. But you see how I am working from the center so that the paper gets in there and sticks to all the ridges. Sometimes it pops back up again. So then I'm just pushing it back down. This is a place where you have to be kind of pushy with your supplies. Push them in there. Hey, Cindy, it is also snowing here today. Just some sprinkles. But I love when it snows. I love to watch bad weather from my windows. I don't like to think about people having to drive in it, but I'm always so grateful when I can just watch from inside of a warm spot. So I think I have most of that in there. Let's flip it around. Yeah. So there it is in all its corrugated beauty. I don't know if you can see, but the paper is between the slots now. I'm going to take that same, clear coat, which also works as a decoupage medium, and paint it around the back. We'll trim this up a little bit. These are terrible scissors. And just push down the excess paper around the corners like so. Sandra, you are very welcome. I hope that you'll pick something up from this that you can use to do this project or, similar. I love watching people's processes, even if I don't make exactly what they make. I think as creatives, we take what other people do, we get the inspiration, and then we do our own little spin on it, which is the super fun part, is seeing how everyone has their own way of doing things. So I'm just getting that glued down with my decoupage medium clear coat sealer. And we're going to let that dry. Can you see it? Yeah, you could see the corrugated, right? I think that looks pretty darn good. That is what we did here, what I did yesterday, and then I distressed the edges once it was dry. So we've got the parts now, you guys, right? We have the clay applied to the board. It's getting some little bubbles there. Make sure that's down. And then the heavenly stamp, the wings from the heavenly stamp pushed into that clay while it's still wet. We created the heart from corrugated cardboard. I am going to, once it's dry, I'll show you how I distress my edges and such. I'm not going to do that on this one until it's dry, but I'll use a distress ink pad. I don't know if you guys know Carmen Dahmer from Carmen's Curious Barns. This is her very favorite vintage photo color. A little stick sometimes, get some ink off of there and just apply it to distress that stamp or that embellishment. So that is also what I will do on the one we just created, but I'm going to wait until it's dry before I start messing with that. Right now, we are ready to add some color to this. So I'm going to hit it with my heat gun, which in this case is an actual kind of construction heat gun. It's noisy and it's hot, but we're going to see if we can get this moved along enough to add some color and bring out the details of the wings and words. Could this be adapted to furniture? Absolutely. Absolutely, it could be adapted to furniture. And if I'm using air dry clay on this board, and it's a wonderful application for a board like this, but you could use other materials on furniture, such as drywall paste, or if you want to be more, you could use a modeling paste, like an art supply modeling paste, or drywall compound, or I have used and shown in some of my tutorials the use of Durham's Rock Hard Water Putty, which is a powdered substance that you add to water, and it's designed to repair walls or furniture or veneer. So it's a repair tool, but when you mix it up and spread it on a surface, you can let it dry until it's better consistency, and then you can do the same kind of pushing a stamp or a texture plate right into, and that's, I think, probably for furniture more cost effective if you're going to be doing a large area. I actually just redid some nightstands, and I've recorded but haven't edited yet how I use the IOD Bohemia stamp to create some texture on the drawers using rock hard water putty. So that is a way that you could totally adapt this process to using on furniture. I hope that you could hear me speaking there. Durham's is great. Durham's Rock Hard Water Putty, and it comes in a can, and it is it's like a powder, like cornstarch, but it's not cornstarch. It's not quite, it's just rock hard water putty is what it is. So there this guy is, and he's pretty dry. I want to check the time here. What time do we have? I'm by myself today, and Anybody have the time? Oh, it's been about 40 minutes. So we're going to move right ahead too. I have some inks. This one is just a spray ink. This is one way to add some color. And can you see that happening? That's what I used on there. I'm just spritzing it around. So you don't have to have this particular product. You want to use anything that'll put a dark tint over. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my paintbrush. Oops, here it is. So I'm just going to move some of this so that it gets into these lines. And sometimes I like doing that and just let it roll around. When it dries, it will not be this intense and dark. But now we can see those words again, right? I carry your heart. Yeah, there it is. So we've got some great texture in this piece, and I'm going to let that dry. In some places, I'm pushing it in a little more into the fine detail. When it dries, like I said, it is going to be much lighter. This, I applied the same inks to. I'm going to now grab that Distress ink in the pad and use my spreader here, and we'll put some more of this on like so. And you can do this whatever colors that you want. It doesn't have to be this grunge effect like Liz likes. You can do it whatever way you want. So I am just putting, this is dry now, so I don't have to be quite as gentle with it. It is cracking. I love that. So there's our wings. Probably we'll get some dark edges later. The heart. On this one, I painted the back. I'm not really sure why. I don't think anyone's going to come up and peek underneath. But if they do, they will find a painted back to their heart. And what I'm using is these foam adhesive circles, because that will provide a little bit of a raised effect. These are about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick. So I put them on the heart earlier, and now I'm peeling off because they're double-sided adhesive. These come from any kind of craft supply store. I think there were a scrapbooking supply. And I'm going to put that heart right where I want it to be between these wings. And I'm just going to press that gently, because even though this is dry on the top, I did it earlier this morning and it's not dried through and through. So I'm just gently pressing where those adhesive dots are. And there we have that. Susan Marie, I did seal it before distressing it. And I feel like that is an incredibly important step. With the clay, it is so porous that if you don't seal it first, whatever color you put on is just going to suck right into the clay, and it will be permanently stained. So if that's what you want, don't steal it or don't seal it. But if that is not what you're going for, and usually, you know, even if you want it really dark, you just have more control if you will seal the surface of a porous material like clay or even papers. So I think we're about done here, you guys. There could be finishing details, like I will probably paint the sides of this, maybe the dark brown. I'm trying to see if there are any questions I haven't answered here yet. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad that you love it. I have lots of Susans and Sues, and only one Edith, I think. Diane's and Diana's and Kathleen's. So thank you guys all for joining me. I think we are about done. We've been live for about 45 minutes. So if there are no last minute questions, I will, kind of continue, put some finishing details. I might make this heart super glossy. What did I bring to do that? I brought a high gloss. So that could be nice. I like the contrast of like super shiny to flat matte and having all that go on. So we'll see. But when it's finished, I will post a picture in the Iron Orchid Designs tribe. I just want to say again that I am Liz. I'm going to switch me over to the big one, I think. There, I'm Liz. Here's our project. I'm Liz from Liza Jane Designs in Afton, Minnesota. I am located on the St. Croix River, just west of Wisconsin. We're on the far east border of Minnesota. The stamp can be ordered from me or your local stockist. I do ship throughout the U.S., as I think many, many stockists do. So if you want to order a stamp, it's called Heavenly, and it's available currently. It's not a retired stamp. So yes, to find your own local stockist, if you don't know, you can go to the Iron Orchid Designs webpage and just click on the retail locator. You can look geographically for someone who is close to you. Many of us do ship though, so keep that in mind and, find a stockist that, you enjoy working with. So I think that is all I have now. If you're not part of the Iron Orchid Designs creative tribe, you should be. It is just an endless source of inspiration. Please check it out. Just on Facebook, search IOD Creative Tribe, and you can join for free and never be without a project or some inspiration. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Kathleen, I would be thrilled to see if you do try this, post it in the tribe, tag me, I would love to see it, post it on my page, whatever you can do so that we can see what you're working on. So thank you guys so very much. And you all have a great afternoon. I love my IOD peeps. So until next time, I'll see you around. Bye.